There are four types of products and services available to you in your QuickBooks Online product. They are broken out into two different areas. I'm going to start at the bottom and work up to the top. So available in the Essentials Plus and Advanced subscriptions are non-inventory items, service items, and bundle items. Available exclusively in the Plus and Advanced subscriptions is inventory. So you'll note that when you open up your product and service tab or menu option, these are your four options that are available to you. You've got inventory, non-inventory, service, and bundle, and a little description under each one to help guide you to know where you want to set it up, right? Services you're going to set up for actually all of these can be set up for revenue, and that's where you're going to go in order to code that or program those elements into your QBO file. Where do you find it? Well, in your products and service settings, or actually all of these can be set up for revenue, and that's where you're going to go in order to code that or program those elements into your QBO file. Where do you find it? Well, in your products and service settings, you're going to go to your gear icon. You're going to choose your account and settings. Then you're going to go to your sales tab, your sales center as it might be. As we scroll down, we're going to find our products and services section. So if you've got multiple revenue accounts, you definitely want to show your product or service column on your sales form. And you're going to want to see that toggled on. If you have stock keeping units or SKUs, you'll want to toggle that on. If you're using a Plus or Advanced subscription, you want to use price rules, you will toggle that on. Quantity and price and rate, you can toggle it on or off, whatever is going to be appropriate for you. And if you need to turn on your inventory function, this is where you would do that as well. You'll also notice that there are small little question marks next to each one of these options, and you can hover over that question mark to find out a little bit more about what this particular toggle button does or doesn't do. Once you've got these selected the way you'd like them to be set up, you can go ahead and click Save, and then of course scroll down to the bottom and click Done to globally change your or save your changes. Okay. If you want to create a brand new product or service, here's the way to set up a new service item. And do know that the inventory item is set up in our advanced certification training and not covered here. So if you're setting up a new service item, you need to give it a name. Stock keeping unit, probably not applicable. You can absolutely set up categories if you are interested in having different ranges. If you've got different services, you might have, let's say, warranty service, you might have repair service, you might have ongoing service. You might want to categorize your services so that they're easy to find and easy to report on. You'll want to enter in a useful description, and this description here is going to show up on your actual invoice to the client. By virtue of these three little lines, this can expand to be as large or as small as is needed for your purposes. So you're not limited to 3 lines. You could have 6 or 8 lines of information here if that was appropriate. If the price for this particular service is always the same, you can set up that price here, and you can always select an income account. The default is always going to go to services, but you might have multiple revenue accounts, in which case you can go ahead and make that selection. Save and close, and you are all set to sell your very first service. Let's jump in and show you the rest of those options or elements in creating a service. So here we are in our training tab. Where are we going to find our products and services? 2 places. We can go to our sales center, and then we see our products and services tab here. Or we can go to our gear icon icon and find our products and services list there. Exact same place, just 2 roads to get you there. If we wanted to create a brand new service, we go ahead and click the new button, select service, give it a name. And if we wanted a category, we can have a preview. We don't currently have any categories set up here, so maybe we don't need one. We want to say that, what are we selling? This is Sky Training System. So maybe we're going to offer some skydiving, not driving, skydiving lessons. There's a standard price for this. I don't know what it costs, how about $1,500? And I'm going to code it to services. I might want to set up a brand new account. Maybe I want to have skydiving lessons or training as a new revenue. I can go ahead and set that up on the fly. Let's call it a service fee income, and we can call it lessons revenue, right? Save and close. You can see how easy that was on the fly. Inclusive or exclusive of tax, we're going to say exclusive, which is the default. We know this business is in Ontario, we'll add HST. Then if we had to purchase this, so maybe we hire a particular instructor that provides all of the skydiving lessons. If we know what their cost is, maybe they charge us $500 per, we can code it to whichever cost of goods sold expense account is going to make sense to us. Right? Maybe we'll just put on a regular cost of goods sold, whether it's inclusive or exclusive of tax. Likely, we're going to assume that our instructor is also in Ontario, and we can also choose a preferred supplier. So maybe Edward Friesen is our trainer, and now we've got this set up for both sides of the equation, right? We've told it which is our income account, which is our expense account. We've already pre-programmed our taxes, save and close. So the very first time that we would like to sell a skydiving service, that information is going to be readily available to us. Okay, we pick our product and service. There's our skydiving lessons. That's what's going to show up. And just like that, we've created an invoice. It was super easy. We can save and close that. If we want to record that bill,
Hello, hello. All right, I have arrived. I'm just adjusting my camera. Give me a second. I'm allowed to be on camera now. And there we go. Good morning. Well, it's afternoon now. Good afternoon. So I'm going to keep doing this QuickBooks thing. Can I duplicate this? Yeah, I just want to move, because I feel like my camera is really getting in the way here. So I just want this to be like, we can move it down to, no, it's like a full screen event with the QuickBooks stuff. feel like down here is the least intrusive. Can I do both? Oh my god, why is it doing that? Okay. I think that's probably the best spot for the camera, which is tiny, but whatever. And then I should flip it. Transform. There we go. Because now I'm looking at the screen. It looks like I'm looking at the screen. Okay. This looks a bit silly. Oh my goodness. No, I just want to adjust it a little. It's close enough, I think. Maybe I can't do this in between pixel. Like 1 pixel off. Okay, I think that's better. Okay. So let's set this up. This is what I was writing here. And of course, it closed again. Basically, I was wondering, like, do I, for this QuickBooks thing, like adding a new expense, didn't save. Let's do it again for the third time. If I put income tax, so this is a service we're doing, right? We're doing a basic income tax return. We are employee events, we'll put it general, sell this often, description on a sales form, income, let's say like T for worker, basic income tax return. Just do the same thing. I'm dragging my mouse with my feet. Sales price. So let's say we're charging $50 for that. Okay, so services, we add tax. So this is the question. I don't like, are your employees a supplier of the service? Like, you would think that in a way an employee is a supplier of a service. So this would be like $550, and then you would purchase, I mean, you have to pay like payroll taxes, for employers. CPP 5.95. Add 10 to 15% on top of salary. 10 to 15% of wages. Varies significantly. Okay, so let's just say, for the sake of argument, oh, this is gonna drive me crazy. Just let me do the thing without leaving. Jeez. No, that's fine. Sale price inclusive. Because we're not actually like purchasing it from the employee, but like you kind of are purchasing someone's work. So I don't really know. Oh wait, I can put it here. Subcontractor, rent, dues, sales. It's not necessarily like a cost of goods sold. It's like more of an expense. Dues, charitable, promotion, lease, supplies. I don't see like salaries or wages. Okay, let's just put it under subcontracted services. And then it would also, not necessarily, but it would be like close to that. Olivier, save and close. So you can buy an income tax return for $550, assuming you can get it done in 15 minutes. But I guess the problem with this is that like you don't actually know, so you'd have to kind of like take an average. Okay, I just wanted to like give that a trial run. Well, why are you gonna sign me out, bro?
From Edward Friesen, we know that that's already going to be set up. We go to our item details, go
Okay,
to
hold
our,
on.
just like that, just going, director is also in Ontario, and we can also choose a preferred supplier. So maybe Edward Friesen is our trainer, and now we've got this set up for both sides of the equation, right? We've told it which is our income account, which is our expense account. We've already pre-programmed our taxes, save and close. So the very first time that we would like to sell a skydiving service, that information is going to be readily available to us.
Oh, you just make it invoice.
Pick our product and service.
Okay, hold on. Let me trial that.
There's our skydiving lessons. That's what's going to show up. And just like that, we've created an invoice. It was super easy.
Invoice. Customer. Product. Basic income. Oh, it auto populates. That's crazy. Can you? Can you set up an invoice to run off of like a point of sale system? So, or can you have like a point of sale system integrated? A point of sale system integrate with QuickBooks. QuickBooks system or a third party. Connect them to sync sales, inventory, or data. Configure both systems. Then use a connector tool. QuickBooks point of sale has been discontinued. QuickBooks Online with a third party, Shopify Lightspeed, or Hike. QuickBooks apps. Point of sale. Lightspeed. They don't have like the mainstream ones. Like Square. Oh, they do have Square. Or I've seen Square, I've seen Clover. I've seen, what else do they have in like restaurants and stuff? Hike, cloud-based retail point of sale works on any device. If you say so. Automatically sync all your retail transactions, including sales purchases, inventory, customer profiles, daily payment summaries. Hike POS software is available free to all Hike users. For one outlet business. Unlimited products, integrations, and standard reporting. My search for point of sale ended with Hike, but do they let you like can you buy like a physical point of sale? I guess so. Smartest commercial tablet. iPad bundle. PC and Mac. Yeah, why not just do like this? Okay, so you would need like I don't know, you need a barcode scanner. Probably want like a receipt printer, where's like the actual scanner? There's like the where's this? Where's the card tap thing? Cash drawer, star, Bluetooth receipt printer, socket mobile. What is this? Well, it shows this, but I can't find it. How are you supposed to bill someone? You're supposed to like credit card bill someone. Tap to pay card reader. Alright, how many millions of dollars does this cost? Oh man. Retail. Franchise, restaurant, takeaway, kiosk, gym, jewelry, furniture, coffee, I don't know what would be like gym, kiosk, takeaway. I mean, I feel like a gym would be the closest thing. Okay, let's do gym. On any tablet, iPad app, tablet with a web browser, accept cash, gift cards, or sell on account. What about credit cards? Those are the only ones that matter. Huh? Did I miss something? Tap, search, or scan. Discount, order flow, payments, integrated PayPal, iZettle, partial payments. Prefer to stay with your existing card processing terminal. You can track card payments using an external card terminal. I see. So these guys are selling software, but I also have to buy a card terminal. How much does a card terminal cost? Square. So I could probably get Square. Do they all have subscriptions? Stripe. Advanced terminals. Free basic hardware. First one free, then $10. Stripe. Okay, let's see. How much? Oh, this one looks good. Square card. I think I've seen this one in stores before. I'd be down for something like this. $400. Can your iPad? Oh, wait. Is there a chip reader on the iPad? Oh, there is. Oh, interesting. QuickBooks integration. And it does integrate directly with Square too. Alright, that's pretty cool. Now, how much is the subscription? POS software included. Pay simple fees. How much are the fees? How much are the fees, Square? How much are the fees? Pricing. Free. No setup fees. Only pay when you take a payment. Restaurants, retailers, appointment-based businesses. Okay. See plans. 2.5% credit, debit chip, and PIN or tap. 0.75% plus 7 cents. Online, 2.8% plus 30 cents. Credit card is just flat 2.5%. Manually entered. That's crazy. It takes me more time. It takes me more time to do this. And it costs more. This one takes a customer the most time and probably costs me the most. But the rates don't get any better. Okay, so you're paying the same rate per transaction. That's fine. But you do have like different customers, mobile app. What do you get in plus? Multiple locations, waitlist, Google Calendar. Okay. I mean, Square kind of seems to have made it the most straightforward, right? So if we can integrate Square with, because this one outlet business, if Square is free, why would I not use Square? Like, the rates can't be that much better. Like, I'm pretty sure Square's monthly subscription per location with a 15-day free trial. Commerce Sync. Unlimited sales transfers. Is this the QuickBooks plan? Or is this like on top of the QuickBooks plan? I do like that it's also in Canadian dollars. As a Canadian, that's pretty cool. Okay, I'm getting so sidetracked. But it's cool that that is how you would run a business if you were doing in-person sales. But you could probably invoice much easier. Let's invoice this guy again, and let's do basic income tax return. And then pleasure doing business with you. Save and send. As it doesn't have an email? Give me an email. None of these? Bob's burgers at gmail.com. Online payment. So you can just turn on online payments here. Save and send. Print or save. Send and close. Cool. All right, let's go back. Let's finish this video.
We can save and close that. If we want to record that bill from Edward Friesen, we know that that's already going to be set up. We go to our item details, go to our skydiving. We already see it's pre-programmed. So if he sends us a bill for 600, we might want to have a little chat with him. But otherwise, we can plunk in our bill number that he has sent us, the date, and save and close. And just like that, our products and services are serving us very well, and we can report on them at any time. Okay? How does that work? Let's go to skydiving. We can run a report and see what's happened. So there's our revenue of 1,500. There's our expense of 500. Voila. Products and services is doing its job.
Squeaky. Okay. Recognize products and services, how to set up non-inventory services. So option to add inventory. Okay. Useful. Wow, 37 minutes. Sales center.
Available to you so that you can. Sales Center has a number of different tabs available to you so that you can manage and maintain your customer list, your invoices, products and services, et cetera, et cetera. And there can be as many as 7 at the present time, 7 different tabs depending on which subscription level the QBO file is used, or the client is using, or the activated features and functions that the customer is currently using. So we see on this first screenshot, we've got 6 different tabs, and on the little snippet below, we can see there can be a 7th tab called Deposits, and that comes into play when you activate QuickBooks Payments, the MSP, the Merchant Service Provider system that is provided, excuse me, within your QBO product. So overview, 30,000-foot view, all sales is exactly what it says that it is, a listing of your invoices, of your customers, of your products and services, and then price rules if you need to have that activated within the software. So there's a whole lot going on here, as you can tell. So let's bring it to life and go into a demonstration so that it's going to make a lot more sense to you. Here we are in our favorite Sky Training Systems. We're going to go to our Sales Center, start with the overview. High-level information, we can see that we're presented with a nice chart for our income over time. Our income is quite a bit higher than last year, so that's great. We're looking at the
sales overview. $5,000 more than last month. Invoices, overdue, deposits. Okay.
Default of this year, we could compare it to last year and see that it's been quite an influx. So the first quarter of this year was much more profitable, or had huge sales. So maybe we had some sort of promotion, but definitely the first quarter sales were much higher than last year. You've got your drop down where you can look at this year to date. You've got a number of different choices available to you. And this year to date brings it up a little bit bigger and can really amplify so you can see what your sales were each time. What else we can do? We've got a setup. So there might be some encouragement over here. You can set up some additional ways to pay, such as your QuickBooks payments, or it's encouraging you to send out an invoice to your clients. Maybe you haven't done that yet. Next up, we've got 2 Kanban cards, or a nice big section here that's going to show you that you've got $61,000 in invoices that are overdue. So your clients need to start paying you, and you've got $4,500 that is current. That is represented by this money bar, the orange being the overdue, and the gray section being the not due yet. You can see that the little hand symbol comes up. So if I was to click this gray button, that would present me with a list comprising the invoices that total the 4,500 current invoices that are not yet due. Next up, we've got a not deposited. So we received some funds. They're sitting in our undeposited funds account. We haven't made a bank account in the last 30, or bank deposit, I should say, in the last 30 days. So we may want to consider that. So that's some high level information to give you a kind of a status as to where this business is at. Let's move over to our all sales tab, and it is what it says it is. And again, here is that money bar, only it's a little bit more detailed this time. It's got our estimates, unbilled income, overdue invoices, all invoices, and then recently paid invoices. So each time you want to, say, view what's going on with each one of these money bar elements, we can just click the colored bar, and automatically the list or the grid will filter to show only the elements that you have shown, and that's going to be represented here under the type, date, and customer filter.
So this is just sales. Yeah. No
Fields.
expenses.
Okay? Let's head over to our overdue invoices. We can see that we have 24 overdue invoices.
God
and
damn.
what if we wanted to sort them by customer? That might be little bit more straightforward. We can see it's just one big US invoice. We've got
31
Jeanette's Barrettes owes
grand.
us a number of invoices, and some of them are quite
Holy.
old, dating back to 2023, 10 o'clock coffee, et
Jeanette,
cetera, et cetera. So that's a nice, neat way of seeing what's going on.
what are we doing?
Not coincidentally, if we head over to our action column, QuickBooks is going to help us take some action. So for this US customer, there's just the one. We may want to run over to our action column, hit our drop down,
Ooh.
and maybe we want to send a
This is like the tech companies. There's like no diversity of income. There's like large customers, and this is why in like financial reporting, you have to disclose if you have, I think it's like over 10% of your income is coming from one source. This is like a recipe for disaster because this business is relying on like this on one person to send them this massive invoice. There's no diversification of invoice or sales. So if they are unable to pay it or whatever, then you're kind of SOL. Like there's obviously some diversification because they have $61,000 of unpaid invoices, but still.
reminder directly to this customer and say, hey, you know what? This invoice is still outstanding and it's overdue since March. We can send a reminder directly from our all sales link. Isn't that handy? Right? We could share the invoice link,
Having to send a reminder for such a big invoice feels bad, man.
print, void, delete, look at the activity. I will talk about that in just a few minutes. But you can see all of the different templated actions that you can take right away just by looking at your all invoice section. If you're looking at your overdue, what a great way to start your collections process, sort it by customer, and then start tackling the information line by line. Okay, that is going to be helpful. Your micro gear, also your best friend. You can decide if you want to see the due date right here on the grid. You can add in the email address. Maybe you want to make sure that there's an email address because you certainly can't email a reminder to Akshay if there's no email associated with it. If you've got lots of customers, you can decide how many rows you're going to see on a particular line. High volume might want to be 300, 50 to 100 might be more useful for your clientele. You get to decide depending on the volumes that are showing, and you can change that at any time. You've got your quick links here. So in here, you could go to your deleted transactions, AR summary, customer balance. So if you need to see any reports that is related to this grid, your quick links are available to you right there. That is a handy feature. What else do we want to show you in this section? The money bar really is the big element of our all sales tab and the micro gears. If you wanted to create a new transaction, you've got a big green button. If you want to create a new invoice, maybe you want to import invoices because they're created in an external
Can't stop
software,
yawning.
or if you want to create any type of sales generating report or form, a new estimate, a new sales receipt, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that lives in your all sales section. Most of those activities or all of those activities can also be accessed from your plus new button in your column labeled customers.
Sales.
Let's head back. Let's move over to our invoices section. And here is a listing of all our invoices. The default is the last 12 months, and that's important to know because it could be that you've got clients that have invoices that are older than that. Okay. Maybe you want to look at
Yikes.
2022. Look at that. We do have invoices outstanding
Yikes.
from 2022,
Older than
41
that.
of them, in fact. So we may want to get on our collection train and reach out to these particular people. Now, these are not all
12
outstanding. You can see some
months
of them are paid
overdue. Bro, how would
because
you
what
run a
we've done is filtered
business
by the
with
year
12
and not
months
whether or not it's
overdue?
overdue. If we want to see overdue from 2022, we can see that there are 17 invoices overdue from 2022. We can see that these Jeanette Barrettes are recurring invoices, so they happen every month, the end of July, the end of August, the end of September, and she hasn't been paying them. So we may want to reach out to Jeanette and find out what the heck is going on over there. We also have the opportunity
Jeanette,
to take some batch
what the heck
actions.
is going on
We
over
can
there?
send these invoices, so maybe we want to send them again. We can send reminders if there's email addresses associated, print them, delete them, and we don't have to choose all at once. Maybe we just want to send reminders on those Jeanette Barrette invoices. We could go ahead and send a reminder. And QuickBooks will take care of that for us, and those reminders are now sent. Okay, let's head back and talk about, let's clear our filters. Let's go back to this fiscal year or the last 12 months. That is our standard default. If we want to see what's going on in our undeposited funds, we can see that these are the amounts that are sitting in undeposited funds that should probably get deposited, or actually these are the recently deposited, pardon me, the recently 5 invoices that have been paid that have been deposited. Okay? 13,000 in the last 30 days. We clear out that. You can also see and filter this by any number of methods, by need attention, unpaid, overdue, current not due, paid but not deposited, right? These can all be helpful filters and deposited.
I don't really get the not deposited thing because if someone like paid your invoice or you're just sitting on their like check or something, I guess you could deposit it. But there's like, why are you sitting on an undeposited like cash or whatever, like you're sitting on an undeposited amount for like over a year. Obviously this is a sample company, but like that seems crazy. Oh, these are deposited. But the other one's an undeposited
So you can see what's
ones.
happened, and you can filter to any way that you need to. You can also create an invoice or import invoice. Last but not least, our action column, again, has a number of different activities that you can undertake. Maybe you want to duplicate an invoice because it's time to invoice that client again, or they've ordered again from you and you want to keep all of the elements that are on that particular list. Send it, print it, void it, delete it, or view the activity. Okay. What is view the activity? View activity means that it's going to show you what has happened with that particular invoice. So we're looking at the Big City Blues Dog Walkers invoice. We can see that it was issued on August 31st of 2023. Opened is actually created. So we created it in QuickBooks Online on August 31st. We received payment from them on September 6th, and we can view that payment if we want to. There's a hyperlink. So they made a partial payment on September 6th for $390. They also gave us another check, so check number 705 and 706 for $3,000, and we deposited both of those checks on September 6th, and that is all of the activity on that particular file. If we wanted more actions, again, we could duplicate it, or we could print this activity, and that takes care of that. Looking at the activity can be helpful because you want to know sometimes if your client has actually opened the invoice. They may say, oh, I've never.
All right, let's see. So sales, let's go to, well, actually an overview. She said there was like a bunch of tabs. Okay, these are actions, income over time. Let's go to invoices. You just click on invoices. Okay, then we get this screen, which she had too. These are the overdue ones. Paid but not deposited. Yeah, nothing, which tracks paid and deposited. We can view the invoice. Paid. How is she? Oh, view activity is where you see what happened. Open, paid, deposited. Doesn't say when, but there we go. Is there one that will show deposited date? I guess not. Okay, cool.
Never received it, but you go ahead and look at the activity, and you can see that they have opened it or viewed it a number of times. Okay, that information is going to show here for you. Let's close that for now. Let's head up to our customer list. Customer list, again, we have a money bar that's going to bring that information to our attention, and that's really the focus of our sales center, is being able to have quick filters at our fingertips so that we can chase our overdue, know what's current, see what's gone in the bank, and that will help us with our cash flow and managing the business. If we're using customer types, we can set them up here. We've got a wholesale type set up. We might want to add a retail type. We can add a VIP type, any types, any number of types that you can set up, and then you can code your clients that way. That's a really helpful way to utilize the price rules function, because you may want to set up the price rules for particular customer types. Okay, let's head back, continue to talk about our customers. We can see that we can sort, reverse the sort alphabetically, descending or ascending, whichever way we want to see the alphabet. Maybe we want to sort it by company name. Sometimes we want to sort it by the open balance. Who owes us the most money? That's where we want to focus our efforts. Okay. We can always click a receive payment and action column, or choose our action and choose any one of the activities listed there.
Someone owes you $100,000.
I'm going to sort this again by name. That's my default. That's what I like to see. And it also helps me show you different defaults that are available to you. When the client account balance is zero, the default is create an invoice. If there is an account balance or an open balance, the receive payment is going to be the default action. You can always choose your gear icon. Maybe you want to add the phone number in case you want to call for collecting, or email the reminders. Maybe you want to see what sales tax has been impacted or associated with that particular client. Maybe the customer type is going to be important. You can see that you can include the inactive customers or exclude them. If you're using projects, maybe you want to list the project column as well. And then depending on the number of customers you have, you may want to show a different number on each page just for convenience and access and moving along. If the money bar is not what you want to see when you look at your customers, you can hide it out of the way. There are all of your customers. You can make some batch actions. So maybe we want to send out some information here. Maybe we want to make this customer inactive, or choose a customer type. We can edit tax codes. So that's a fun situation. Maybe we know that Best Client Ever and Big City Blues, we can set up the tax code. So edit the default tax code. This client here is, both of these, let's say, are in Ontario. We can assign that, save it.
Cool.
And if we had our tax code column showing, we would be able to see which tax code is associated. Maybe our BMO is in Manitoba, we could go ahead and edit the tax code there and change it to GST instead. Okay. We can make those changes right there on the fly with our batch actions. If we want to search, just type in a couple of characters, a couple of letters, and all of the matches are going to show up, whether it's in the customer name or the customer address or any other field. That can be very helpful and quick in order to find a customer on a very long customer list. Or maybe you only have the contact name,
Damn,
you can search in that,
QuickBooks
you can
is
search
kind
the
of a
city, you can
crazy
search the postal code,
software.
maybe even the phone number. Okay, all of those things are going to be helpful to you. If you need to create a new customer, go ahead and do so, or you could import customers.
What's also crazy to me is that, like, I guess this is necessary for payments and stuff, for like people to manage their business. It's like, how many, you're doing so much business that you need like such a crazy software to handle everything. Not a bad thing really, but it's just like kind of goes to show you how time consuming things can be. And I mean, even learning this, like learning how to use one of these is like time consuming. So
There. Products.
It's just interesting. Like it's like running a business is, well, it's more than a full-time job.
And services, they're listed here.
Because just having someone manage your money, it can be a full-time job on its own.
And you can create new ones. You'll notice that this particular data set has the inventory feature turned on because we have low stock and out of stock showing. We also have inventory showing as a type.
And like you're busy doing what you need to do in your business, but someone has to look after all this stuff and like getting you paid and everything. So it's just like kind of crazy that there's all these layers to it.
Many clients are only using services. We go ahead and create new, whether we need an inventory, a bundle. Look at that. And for some reason, we're not seeing the details. Let's try that one more time. Okay, so QuickBooks has gone to sleep on me. We're not covering that at this particular moment, so I'm going to continue. If we wanted to edit a particular service, we could go ahead. Oh, all right, well, it's sleeping. Let's move on and talk about price rules. We can set up price rules. We can set them up for free. And we get to set up price rules on our terms. Now, I'm just talking about this on a high level. We're not going to get into the detail, but you can see that there are a lot of different elements and fields that you can customize. For now, I'm going to exit out, and those are our Sales Center tabs. Now let's talk about some workflows. I'm going to head back to our Sales Center, go into our overview, and head back to our presentation where we're going to talk about different types of sales workflows. So sometimes you may have a payment at the time of sale and you need to record that transaction activity. In QuickBooks, we call that a sales receipt, where we record the sale and the payment in one single step. A sales receipt can be emailed, it can be printed, or you can create a PDF with that sales receipt. If you're going to email it, QuickBooks is going to turn it into a PDF and send it along. Do you know the sales receipt can be recorded to be
I don't know why you wouldn't want a sales receipt
deposited directly into a bank?
I guess like when you're doing like bigger business, and if you're like doing the service first and then you're like getting paid later, but for like a retail store, like you're obviously going to have a sales receipt.
Account, or more preferably, please use your undeposited funds clearing account. That's how the system is designed to work best and most effectively. Sales receipt printed, or a payment at the time of sale, and you need to record that transaction activity. In QuickBooks, we call that a sales receipt, where we record the sale and the payment in one single step. A sales receipt can be emailed, it can be printed, or you can create a PDF with that sales receipt. If you're going to email it, QuickBooks is going to turn it into a PDF and send it along. Do you know the sales receipt can be recorded to be deposited directly into a bank account? Or more preferably, please use your undeposited funds clearing account. That's how the system is designed to work best and most effectively. Key reminder, sales receipt is a fully paid transaction. So if you're looking at that journal entry, you're going to see.
So why would you put it into a clearing account prior to deposit? I guess is something I don't quite understand. They would oh, I said that. Temporarily hold funds for transaction data as a transit point, ensuring accurate reconciliation, balancing books, and organizing entries before they're posted to their final permanent accounts for transactions. Crucial for managing timing differences, batch and routing complex with the goal that should ideally have a zero balance after all items are cleared. Holds payments like credit card receipts until they're matched with specific invoices, ensuring accuracy. I see. So it's just like the intermediary between reconciling it for unclear transactions or mistakes until they can be sorted. Okay. Well, what if it's like extremely clear? I got paid. I know everything that's going to be on my journal entry and it's going to go into my bank.
Sales is going to be credited, and your debit account, HST or GST collected on sales, is going to be credited, and your debit account is going to be either your bank account or your undeposited funds, because this is not going to hit your accounts receivable. Okay, so this is good if you're perhaps selling tax returns. Client comes in, you prepare the tax return, you tell them how much it is, they pay you, you issue them a sales receipt, and away they go. If you walk into a retail store, you know that you always receive a sales receipt because you must pay for those jeans or tops or shoes before you leave the store, right? If you shop on Amazon, you get sales receipts. We always encourage you to deposit multiple payments into a single deposit where it's appropriate. Perhaps you've received a number of checks in one day, you're going to make one deposit into your bank account, and you'll group them all together and post that one deposit into the bank account for easy matching through your bank feed. Okay? Let's move on. Let's see how we can create a sales receipt. A few locations you can create a sales receipt. Your plus new button under the customer column, you can click sales receipt. If you're in your all sales center, you can go ahead to new transaction and create a sales receipt. If you are looking at a client profile, you'll know that there's a new transaction button and you can create a sales receipt in there. So let's go ahead and create one together. Oops, let's go this way. Let's go to our all sales and let's go new transaction, sales receipt. Okay. Now you can see the information is
sales receipt. Benjamin. Let's do this guy. Product or service. Let's do like one of these, I guess. How do they pay? Credit card. I mean, that seems fine. Save and close. Paid. Let's see if I missed anything.
Easy to tab through. Choose your customer, sales receipt date, location tags if you're using that, payment method, reference. Please use your undeposited funds wherever possible, and then fill in the information. Now, in order that you don't need to see me type, I'm just going to open up a recent sales receipt so we can see how that gets populated. So here's a recent sales receipt, number 1417. It was issued on June 30th, paid by Visa. We would put in perhaps our authorization code, going into our undeposited funds, and we have chosen services. We can see all of our products and services are available to us. We can go ahead and select what is correct. We might want to say hours of work, put in a short description so that that's going to be displayed for our client. When we click, once we've saved our sales receipt, I'm just going to say one time only, and click our More button, that's where we can view our transaction journal to see which accounts are impacted and our balancing entries. So we can see our client name, our amounts going into which accounts, which are debit and credited, and away we go. So I'm going to head back to that sales receipt.
So it goes to undeposited funds. View. How did she do the journal thing? More. Transaction journal. So debit checking, credit service, credit payable. Okay. Let's just go.
Receipt. And talk about the tax code. So when we're creating a sale, we know that we want to record our GST or HST or our PST. The first section you're going to, and away we go. So
So this one was debited to undeposited funds, which I guess is also what she was saying about the clearing account. And then we have the actual services and the GST payable, which I think
I'm going
she
to head
might
back
talk
to that
about
sales receipt
next.
And talk about the tax code. So when we're creating a sale, we know that we want to record our GST, our HST, or our PST. The first section you're going to look at is that you must tell QuickBooks whether the amounts are exclusive of tax, inclusive of tax, or out of scope of tax. In the case here, you can see that it's been set up as exclusive of tax, meaning the amount that we've put in as a rate. Exclusive, when we add the GST, QuickBooks is going to add the GST at the end so that our total is now $480.25. If we said inclusive, you'll see the change that now the $480.25 is showing here, and the tax code, the tax included is $22.87. If we change that amount, you'll see that QuickBooks is also going to change the tax amount to be properly reflective. Go back to exclusive. Actually, let me go back to, here's the thing. So I've been changing this report, and wait a minute, I want to go back to the way it was initially. I can go back and I can revert. I'll say yes, and that takes me back to the last time I saved this particular transaction. There's my 480.25. I can put my 457.38 back here, and now we're all set. So this is back to the way the report or the sales receipt was before I started messing with it. So you first decide whether it's exclusive, inclusive, or out of scope. Out of scope typically is when you are processing to a balance sheet account. So certainly not a revenue account. You're not going to use out of scope of tax. That's going to mess up your sales tax center. So that's step one. Step two is then to pick the sales tax code that is applicable. Is it PST? Is it zero rated, exempt, out of scope, HST, GST, et cetera, whichever sales tax codes you've got set up are going to be available to you in the drop-down menu here. When all that is ready to go, you can save and close, you can save and send, or you can save and new. So there's your sales tax receipt workflow. Okay, let's head back to presentation and talk about a sales on account transaction. So this is when you're issuing an invoice and you're going to give your client payment terms. So you might issue the invoice today and tell them, please pay me in 5 days, please pay me in 30 days, please pay me in 8 days, whichever your payment terms are. Now you can create an invoice from scratch, or you can create an invoice by converting an existing estimate. Similarly, you're going to apply the payments to your open invoice manually or automatically, depending on your settings in QBO. Maybe your client has paid you in full. Maybe they've only made you a part payment. Whichever way you have received that payment in the amount and method, you'll record that. And of course, as you know, you're going to group those deposits together and deposit them into your business. When you're invoicing with the mobile app, we haven't talked about that just yet, but do know that you can access your QBO file from the mobile app, download it directly. Open up your mobile app. You can see that you've got quick actions from your home screen. Go ahead and create a new invoice, and you're going to be popped up to the next element, and you're just going to go ahead and fill in the blanks. So open up the mobile app, tap invoice.
Who created QuickBooks? Because they're like, they kind of slapped. They kind of went fucking hard with this software, dude. Like, that's crazy to me. Scott Cook. That was developed by Intuit. I didn't know that. I thought they just bought it. Emerging is an evolution from Quicken. Inspired by watching Lois struggle with finances, partnered with Tom to create a financial software. Difficulty in balancing checkbooks. Software engineer. First introduced in 1992. Well, it's pretty damn good business, if you ask me.
Choose the customer, the date, the terms, due date, add your product or service, whatever it is that you're selling them, put in the amounts, and then you can go ahead and send that to your client. How to create an invoice from your desktop or from your browser version of QBO. From your new button, you can create an invoice, same places as your sales receipts. You create a new transaction for all sales, you can go to customers. All of these places are going to help you create an invoice. You can receive the payment, again, using those same menu options, plus new, receive payment, or the new transaction, receive a payment on that side, or directly from the client itself. So let's jump in, create an invoice, and receive a payment on it. We're going to head back to our sales center. We're going to go to our all sales and see who owes us some money. First of all, let's create a new invoice. Again, we're going to select our customer. I'm going to just open up a previously created one.
So we've done this already.
We're going to have a look at our friend Jeanette Barrett.
I've
And
already
you can see you
created
go in,
an
you're going to tab through.
invoice.
choose, make sure the customer email is
Actually, I
there.
don't know that I have. Let me see. Maybe we can make a new one. Okay. Why is this? If you need to work in 2 different QuickBook companies, use 2 different browsers. Well. What do you know? Let me do that because this is so annoying. QBO. Sign in. It's probably gonna make me do it again. Oh, I should check my emails. Lord knows, I'm gonna miss something important. Okay, maybe not today. What's in my inbox? $1,400. Second level 728. $1,400. I'm gonna have to look at that. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked again. Where is that gonna open? I guess that's fine. No, actually. Whatever, you guys can look at this. It's not a secret. Okay, let me actually log into QuickBooks. I don't see anything terribly important. Oh my goodness. This one, go there. I need to look up what this means. Okay. These need to go to the right folder. Okay. This needs to go. Why doesn't it just filter? I'm pretty sure I set up a filter specifically to not see those emails. Okay, now I can log into it. Oh my god. Bro, you maybe do an email verification code and a text verification code? What are we doing? Mamma mia. I don't want a passkey. I just want to log in. Sample company. Continue. I believe in you, Microsoft, Excel, Edge. What a stupid name. Sales transactions. Yeah. Okay. Where is my... Okay, my invoice seems to have disappeared. Yeah, it's gone. That's fine. Okay, let's just... Okay. So now, let's create an invoice. Net 30, due date, invoice date, Benjamin. Oh, great. Now I've leaked someone else's email. Dude, this is so frustrating. can't use the damn email lines. Arr. Ah. Can I turn off autofill? Okay, whatever. I need to make notes because I'm going to forget when this happened. 114. Okay. All right, that's fine. What happened? Oh! I'm using 2 different browsers now, damn you. Come on. I literally... This is so frustrating. Okay. Let's just watch the video. I'm gonna chill.
Decide if you've got your QuickBooks payment set up and whether or not you want to go and accept it that way. Your payment terms, maybe you want to change that to be net 15. You want to get paid a little bit quicker. And then put in the information. Now I'm going to revert this back because here's another way that you can create an invoice. So let's say we've got this invoice that we were looking at from Jeanette's Barrettes. We've opened it up. It's dated in 2022. We know that we want to create this exact invoice again. We go ahead, click the More button, and copy it.
What?
Now we've got a brand new version dated today, or dated currently. Today is not July 3rd. We can decide what date we want to create that invoice. Maybe we're going to create it on June 30th. Maybe it's the last of the month. We can update our services. Maybe the amount is no longer 540, or maybe it's 2 amounts at 540. We know that this is a copy, so we want to make sure that we update it, and then we can save it. We can see we do have an open invoice if we want to, or an open estimate. If we wanted to add that to this particular invoice, we could do so. In this case, I'm not going to, so I'm going to close that drawer, and I'm going to save this particular invoice. As soon as we save it, it's assigned its own number, 1426, with the information that we wanted to have set up. So once we have saved this invoice, we are ready to receive payment right within this form. Isn't that fun? So we can go ahead and receive payment. Maybe she's called us with her Visa card and given us a Visa number and said, you know what, how about I pay you for all the old 2022 invoices? That's all that I can afford right now. I will pay them to you today. And the amount you can charge to my credit card is $4,881.60. We enter in the Visa number, we get our authorization code, and we're going to put it through to our undeposited funds. Okay. We're going to save and close. Another way, if we want to receive payments, we can go new and receive payments. Let's pick on Jeanette. We're trying to get her caught up. Maybe she has also given you a check. So maybe she's given you that check, but that check is post-dated to the end of the month. So
okay. It's gonna be closed. Great, I'm glad I spent all that time signing in. It's like, come on. Customize. Clear? No. Cancel. Product or service. Oh man, I lost my... Alright, gold party. HST. Net 30. Let's do this guy. Send later. Okay. Dude, okay. That was great. I'm so glad I did that. Let me go back to the other browser. Did I close it? Oh no, it has this. Okay. Let's get sidetracked again. So 1,400 a month. Does it have 100 square feet, really? Oh, it's an office. Oh. 1,400 a month. A 100 square foot office for 1,400 a month is cracked. What can you even fit in a 100 square foot office? Am I crazy? So this place just does massages or something. A room available. Hair salon. All-inclusive rent on a 1-year lease. 1,400 a month, bro. For 100 square feet, you fucking lost your mind on that one. That's not happening. Okay. What are we doing? Sales. We wanted to do, so we had invoices. We wanted to do like get paid. How do we do that? There's receive payment, but there was another way to get there. Receive payment. Choose. Find by invoice. I thought that was probably more convenient. So I would just go here, and then I would do probably overdue invoices. And then we would go probably sort by most recent or most overdue, and then receive payment. And then yada yada yada, fill it out. Deposit to undeposited funds, so we can clear it later. Oh, he's got 2 invoices that he owes us. What is this amount? Oh, that's a full balance. Oh, that's cool, so you can double up. That's nice. Okay, save. Receive payment saved. And then how do we go to, can I see like all of the receive payment thingies? If I made a if I already made a receive payment, payouts overview, receive payment. I'll let customers pay your invoice directly. I guess I would have to just like look at the invoice. Let's go needs attention. Let's go overdue. And then we can view the one that I just, oh wait, no, it's gone. Not due. Okay, that invoice disappeared somewhere. 904 not deposited. Oh, apparently he paid it. Oh, receive payment is like, is that when you like actually you got the payment? Paid. I see. So receive payment means that you actually got paid. Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. It's called receive payment. So if you received a payment, you would put it in receive payment. Perfectly logical.
So she's giving you check number 123, post dated to the end of the month to pay for the first half of her 2023 outstanding invoices. So she's giving you a post dated check for $3,051. You can go ahead and receive that, save and close. And that's as easy as it is to receive a customer payment. You know that you can also receive it directly. So perhaps that you open up the mail and actually Designs has sent you a big check. You can go ahead and receive the payment and plunk that in, fill in all those details. Okay, that is your received payment. Let's go back to our workflows and talk about creating a credit memo. Perhaps you've issued an invoice and now, oh goodness, maybe you overbilled them, or maybe there's been some sort of service dispute and you want to create a credit memo, all in the same location, plus new, all sales, new transaction. This is all going to become very familiar to you very quickly. Go ahead and create the credit memo. The same way, if you want to create a refund receipt, go to your plus new button or your all sales That is where you can create your refund receipt. Do know that your refund receipt is not accessible from your client profile.
Okay, the only thing about all this is like it's slow and time consuming, which I guess is like the whole thing with accounting. You're like, we want to make sure you're precise and that everything is accounted for. But like if I'm running the business and I'm just like using QuickBooks myself, for example, then having like a refund receipt, like wouldn't it be easier just like on the point of sale system, you like barcode scan the thing, or you have like in a different software, you have refund for a service that you rendered and then it just auto populates. But I guess you wouldn't know exactly who the customer is. Well, you would based on the credit card number. So we would be able to use that to track it, I think.
So let's jump in and create a credit memo for you and a refund receipt so you see how that works. We may want to do so for Akshay Designs. This is back from February. Maybe we need to create a credit memo for this particular client because we've overbilled him on the 31,000. What we can do is go ahead and create a new credit memo for Akshay. Okay. Let's go ahead and do that. We've got the date. We'll put in for today's date, product or service. We're going to say for our hours, and we're going to refund or make an adjustment to 3 hours at a rate of $200 per hour. Sales tax, we're going to say it's 0 because it's out of country, and away we go. Okay, so we've made an adjustment and we've created that credit memo. We can save and close.
They haven't
And if we now go
auto-populated
over
the
to our
rate
customer
too.
file and have a look at Akshay, we can see that the amount has changed. If we look at the profile, there's our invoice and there's our credit memo that we have not yet applied it to the particular file. That was pretty easy and simple. Now, we talked about creating a refund receipt. Let's go to Akshay Designs, our Canadian store. We can see that they've paid us in full. And most recently, they paid us yesterday on July 15 for a sales receipt. Okay, so that payment is related to our invoice from March. So we invoiced them back in March. They paid us here. Well, what happens if there's a dispute with that particular invoice? Let's have a look at it. Let's edit that invoice. And we're not really editing, but we want to view. So we sold them some stuff for $4,003. Perhaps we've overpriced that, and now we need to refund them a little bit of money from that particular invoice number 1387. We cannot find refund receipt under our new transaction button when we're in our client profile, but we can find it from our new button and refund receipt. So let's pick up our Akshay Designs, our Canadian account, and we're going to refund them today for part of the money that they paid us yesterday. So we're going to send them a direct debit because that is the most efficient way for us to send money. We're going to send it out of our checking account, and we will put in our EFT code once we have it from our bank. So what did we sell them? We sold them some services, and we want to refund damaged goods. And let's say it's 3 items at $340 each. And tax code, Winnipeg is going to be our GST. Oopsie. And away we go. So now we're going to refund them $1,071 via direct debit. We've confirmed all this information. It looks good. We'll want to make sure that we add their email address. And what we're going to
Refund. Okay, wait, let's do whatever. I don't know. Benjamin again. Debit from checking. Misc engraved items. Say we lost 20 engraved items that were $20 each. And save. Refund saved. Issued. Okay. And then what was the other one? Credit memo. So let's do Benjamin again. Catering. I think I'm missing something. It's like emails and stuff, but credit memo. Where would I find that? Overview, maybe? I don't see his credit memo. I guess it would be under expenses. No. Where does it go?
To do is go ahead and click Save and New. And once we've refunded that successfully, it's going to show here, we've got the pop-up window so that we know it all worked out. Now, we're still going to need to move that money. We have recorded that refund receipt, but QuickBooks is not actually going to send that money back to Actually. We're going to have to do that outside of the system. When we look now at our Actually designs, we can see there's our refund showing that we have refunded them $1,071. Just like that.
Customers. Customer Hub overview. Benjamin is one we've been messing with. Transaction list. Credit memo. Refund. Okay, so these are the ones we just made. He also paid us the overdue payment from that invoice, but he still owes us these 2 invoices. Invoice payment. Still overdue, I'm not sure why. Name badges and water bottles. On day, month, year, 31st of September, October. Interesting. Okay, so that's the customer accounts. These are all the customers. And you can, I thought there were more filters. Oh. Sales tax. Oh, they don't have a default tax code. And then we can do batch actions on the customers, edit default tax code. Well, we just make them all in Ontario, that makes sense. Oh, this one's in USD, and that one's not. Okay, hold on. These ones, clear. Cool.
Let's move back to creating customer statements. So end of the month, end of a period, we may need to create some customer statements. We can find those in our new button in our other column. So although it might be customer related, we're going to find the statement in the other column. We can also find it in our customer list, and I will show you that as we jump into our demonstration. So here we go. We can find our customer statements. Ah, look at that. So the screenshot is out of date, and our customer statements are in fact where we would expect them to be, which is in that very first column. Okay. We want to create all of the statements. We can do it by batch, And we see that the default here is by transaction statement and showing the customer balance status of open, and for the time frame, the limited time frame of 30 days. So we may not want to create all 5 of these. How about we just go with one? And let's have a preview of that particular statement. We can see that all it's showing is the $600 credit. It's not showing that outstanding invoice. And the problem there is because of this start date. We may want to say all and apply that. Oops. Let's go back to Akshay and print a preview. Now we're seeing the sales receipt of $1,575 and the refund of $1,071. Still not really ideal. So let's go back and see what's going to happen if we change the start date to being, let's say, a whole year ago. And let's go back to the US, print a preview. Now we can see there's our invoice and our credit memo. We know that that's all the activity on file. We may want to send this statement out to this particular company and say, hey, you know what? We've issued the credit memo. Please pay us in full. Thank you very much.
Okay. So that's customer statements. Review. Overview. Statements. I wanted to look at just Benjamin's. No email, that's fine. Open. Transaction statement. Balance. Preview. What does a balance forward mean? Oh, I guess that's what you have left to pay, and then you have all the different payments that you made. Transaction statements. Alright, these are transactions from the last month. I don't know what happened to my QuickBooks page, man. I don't know. I really got no idea. Cancel. Statements. Let's do open item last 365 days. Check out Benjamin. This still is not really giving me the info that I want. I guess a transaction statement makes the most sense. Let's just go way back. And let's do Benjamin. Preview. Invoice. Received. I don't really like the way this is laid out either. The statements all kind of suck. Okay. Whoops. Just leaked my code. That's okay. What am I doing? Right.
Another method of issuing a statement, I'm going to close that. We can go to our customer list. And for example, we've got, I'm going to go down to our 10 o'clock coffee. And what we can do is create a statement here. 10 o'clock coffee, let's go to our balance forward amount. So statement date today, apply this, start date for the last 30 days. We'll go ahead and preview. And we'll see we've got a very large balance forward as of June 15 and some current activity in the most recent 30 days. That may not be the best way that we want to present that information to our client. So we may want to turn back time and ensure that we're including all of those elements, right? The balance forward is my least favorite statement because it doesn't really show what's going on. This particular client has invoices outstanding from 2022. And if we're trying to collect, we probably want to show that detail. So maybe an open item is going to be a more appropriate statement for us. So let's pick our open item as of today, printer preview. And now we're seeing a listing of all of the open items, unpaid items for the last 365 days. Okay, still not ideal. Let's go to our transaction statement.
This is driving me crazy because of how unintuitive the naming scheme of these statements are. Open item. That doesn't mean anything to the customer. Transaction statement kind of makes sense. Balance forward also doesn't mean anything to the customer. It doesn't really mean anything to me either because I'm learning. But I have to sit there and send them an email explaining what this means.
You can see we've gone back to 2022. Let's click apply and run the preview here. So now we're seeing all of the
like open items should be like outstanding or like overdue payments or something. And balance forward should be like outstanding balance.
Activity. Invoice from 2022, the amount was $734. It was also paid. So we can see.
And this, the way this is laid out, I don't like it because like someone looking at this will have to look at both columns and then they'll have to figure out which columns are different. And then they will have to basically pay the difference.
With numbers being in both of these columns, that invoices have been paid up to September 30th of 2023, and now we have some outstanding invoices showing.
So like total amount, what does that mean? Should say like total balance due and then total amount received. Should probably be the bottom stuff. I really don't like these statements.
This could be valuable and maybe requested for audit purposes. Maybe your client's being audited and they've got to show all the activity that they've had with you. This would be a very helpful.
Oh no, these suck.
Statement that you can send to them in order to provide all the information that they need to complete their audit. Okay, and those are the different ways that you can create the statements. You can also actually, last but not least, batch action them right here and create the statements. Okay? A number of them don't have statements because they're zero balance, and QuickBooks is going to help you out with that. Unavailable and available. Okay? And that takes us through the sales center. You can see that there's a whole lot going on, and most of it, actually, I would say all of it is going to be very user friendly. That if you're looking for something, you will find it. Go to your new tab, go to your overview, go to your all sales.
Everything except the statement made sense.
And as you navigate through, you're going to be able to find what you're.
And like statement thing does make sense. I just don't think it's intuitive.
Looking for and set up the workflows that are going to work best for you and your clients.
And maybe it's not a QuickBooks thing. Maybe it's just like a bookkeepers in general thing. It's like that's how they named it and nobody decided to change it, which is fine. If that's how it's going to be, that's how it's going to be. I just don't like it, which is, I guess, also fine. I don't have to like it, just have to understand it. Okay, deposits. This one hopefully will be useful.
The undeposited funds account provides an important service as it relates to receiving payments and being the clearing account between receiving the money and recording the money into our bank account.
So
we like to think that things are instantaneous. However, when it comes to receiving payment, there typically is some sort of lag. For example, if you receive payment via Visa, you can receive payment and say, today, I received that Visa payment from my customer and I want to record that they've paid me today, so that if I'm watching my days outstanding, I've got it tracked and paid today. However, that payment, that Visa may not be deposited into my bank account until tomorrow or perhaps even the next day. And that's where the undeposited clearing account comes into play. Whenever we receive payments, we urge you to use the workflow of receiving the payment into our undeposited fund, whether it's cash, check, credit card, wire transfer, email transfer, EFT, ACH, whatever method that money is coming into you. We always recommend that you use the undeposited funds account and then use the bank deposit feature in order to move the money from undeposited funds into your bank account. This can help you find misdirected money. Sometimes you receive a check and you've left it on your desk and somehow it got slipped under some other paper and it didn't get deposited in the bank. If you record it to your undeposited funds account, you'll know to go looking for that check because it does in fact exist somewhere in your office. Same way, I once worked with a merchant service provider, a credit card company, and every now and again, even though we had received payment via credit card, that money didn't show up in our bank account. And because we were using the undeposited funds account, we were able to track that and go back to them and say, well, wait a minute, we're missing this money, please give it to us. Then of course they would magically find it and send it over and put it into our bank account. But if we weren't using this clearing account, we wouldn't have any visibility into being able to see that that payment or that money was missing. So we want to be sure that you are using it. It also helps match the bank feeds in a more confirmed way. So when we talk about our bank feeds, we know that QBO is going to be looking first to any deposit that's been recorded. So that is this last step here, making the bank deposit. That's where QuickBooks is going to look first in order to make a match in your bank feeds. And when it sees that, you can be confident that is the right transaction to match. If you have received payments and the money is sitting in undeposited funds, QuickBooks will also look there for a match. And that can be helpful in matching up your bank feed transactions. But if you haven't used undeposited funds, if you've gone direct to the checking account, for example, QuickBooks might be confused, especially in the case of multiple payments being deposited together. If you receive them singularly, QuickBooks is going to have trouble. And we talk more about that in the bank feeds lesson. However, for now, what we want to do is make sure that when we're receiving payment, especially on a sales receipt, because we know that that is a transaction that's happening.
Kind of want to make like a, because I do like a lot of random stuff business wise, and like I'm kind of collecting money from different sources. So I kind of want to make like a holding company, if you will, or just like an overarching company. And maybe I could do it on like one QuickBooks profile that's just like something enterprises. It's just like everything I do. It's a bunch of random stuff. But that would get messy if those businesses ever wanted to expand, which I guess would make things complicated.
In one step that we've
probably not a good idea to just like put everything under one umbrella. But maybe it's okay. I partition the umbrella. I don't know.
Recorded the revenue and we've recorded the debit side into our undeposited funds account. Okay. That is our undeposited funds. That's as much as I can talk about it until I can show you a demonstration. Here we have a nice screenshot where here is our received payment. This could also be a sales receipt. In this particular case, we're receiving payment from our customer ABC. Payment method is perhaps they've given us a check. We'll put in the check number and we want to choose our undeposited funds account. Why do we do that? Because it's consistent. That is the way the QuickBooks is designed. It's designed to best work by using this particular workflow. Do you know that this deposit to field is sticky, meaning that if you set it up as undeposited funds, the next time you go to receive a payment, it's going to have undeposited funds showing in this particular field. That can be helpful. It's also confusing if someone is depositing directly to the checking account or the savings account or cash on hand, and everybody's using different accounts. You may end up with all kinds of transactions going to lots of different places, and that's going to create work for you that's really unnecessary. If the rule is always undeposited funds, you're not going to have any problems. An example of of sometimes business owners or their employees, it was an email transfer, so it went directly into the checking account. I don't want to use the undeposited funds account. Again, you're going to unstick the default. You'll want to encourage your clients and their users to go ahead and use undeposited funds. Now, with that said, let's go and bring it to life and
makes sense.
Post some money into our undeposited funds account. First things first, what are we going to do? Well, let's go to our invoices. We can see that we're in our deposited section. So let's look at unpaid. So I'm filtering to overdue or unpaid. We can go ahead and receive a payment here. Jeanette is way overdue. Actually, let's pick on our treetops for a while and let's click receive payment. Here, it's going to default to today's date. Maybe they've given us a check. We'll put in our check number, put it to our undeposited funds. We've selected that one invoice, but you can see that they've got many, many more outstanding. If all of these invoices were actually being paid, we could go ahead and check them off. Make sure that the check amount or the check that we're looking at is for $88.1225, and it's payment for those particular invoices. We've got the details set up. We're putting it into our undeposited funds, and we can save and close. Okay, we've got another treetop invoice here. Let's say that we're going to receive that payment also today. Maybe they sent us 2 checks on the same day. Put in a different check number, and we're also going to put that into undeposited funds, save and close. Okay, so we've received some deposits. They've gone into our undeposited funds. What happens next is we want to make a bank deposit. So we're going to go to our new button.
Okay, let's do the undeposited funds. Cancel. So we want to do an invoice payment. So we go to invoices and we want to, this one is already an undeposited, which is good. So I can do that. So then I would go to bank transactions, bank balance, receipts, maybe reconcile, rules. Hold on. Uncategorized income, ATM deposit. About this one. Expense. It would be in the checking, but we haven't routed it there. So where do I find the undeposited account? Let me see, maybe she'll tell us.
We're going to click bank deposit. And what we can do is,
okay, you have to make a bank deposit. Bank deposit. So it already knows. They're inclusive of tax, right? Received from Benjamin. Sales. Check. Why am I redoing this? Like has one open invoice. If the deposit is for that invoice, record the payment and receive payment first. I thought I did that already now. Hold on. Let's just see what happens. Bank deposit saved. Okay. And it should show up here, right? I guess not. Oh, that's full review. How do I look at my bank balance? How do I look at my transactions? Reviewed. What? What is going on?
sort from received from. And scroll down. Oh goodness, let's go the other way. And find our tree top. So there's our 2 checks. So what we want to do is deposit those together. So they've given us 2 checks. They total $10,341.65. That's the amount we want to put into our bank today, right? If we put those both into our checking account individually as opposed to using undeposited funds, then they're not going to match to our bank feed later on. Okay, so we go ahead and save and close. Sometimes we want to go back to our bank deposit and we want to deposit all of the Visa transactions, for example. So here, if I sort by payment method, we can see that we've got a bunch of checks. Now these are post-dated, but we've got some credit card payment. So we've got a credit card payment here. We want to deposit that to in one step. If we had a number of Visas, we could deposit those all in one step. Okay, that can be really helpful. So there's our Visa. We'll go ahead and save a new. Another use of our bank deposit function is, let's say, for example, a client has given us a post-dated check, as they have in the case here of Jeanette's Barrettes. They've given us a post-dated check dated July 31st. And so we can record that to our undeposited funds so that we remember that we have that post-dated check. So when July 31st runs around, we can go ahead and record that into our bank account on the 31st, or maybe we forget about it and we don't deposit till August 1st. So post-dated checks can be a great use for undeposited funds, depositing more than one transaction. And do also know that perhaps you want to deposit a check that's come in that doesn't have anything to do with your accounts receivable. So we're going to scroll past all of those elements, and maybe you have received payment from Intact Insurance, and that's related to your automobile account, and they've refunded you for some sort of repair. There was an accident claim. You can put in your check, put in the check number, and the amount of the payment. Right? There's not going to be any tax because we know that there isn't, and we're just going to say that that is out of scope. Okay? And now we've recorded a deposit that isn't related to our receivables, but we're still using our deposit feature. You could also deposit a government grant, perhaps a client rebate, an employee is reimbursing the company for an expense, all kinds of different reasons that you could use the deposit function. Okay, so go ahead and save and close. And there you have it. That is your undeposited funds account.
Okay. The only thing that I still can't find is where, how do I find that? Chart of accounts, maybe. Bank, account history. Okay, here's the deposit today. This one, refund, so that left. Sales receipt, so this one just went immediately into here. I didn't deposit it through the clearing account, which I remember doing that. Reference number, and then this was the one we just did. That came from undeposited funds. Okay. Well, that tracks. It makes sense why I would want to use undeposited funds. Understand how to make deposits. Okay, expenses.
The expenses center is set up very similarly to the sales center, with the exception that you will not see a money bar. So in the expenses center, we've got a number of pages or tabs, and expenses, bills, suppliers, and mileage tab for you. Now, the columns that are defaulted here can always be changed using the micro gear. You can create a new transaction by clicking your green button. You can print checks from the screen if you want to. And do know that the default is the last 365 days, or sometimes referenced as the last 12 months. If you want to search or filter, you can look at all transactions, or you can filter it down in any way that you choose. So let's jump right in and walk through the expenses center together. Here we have it. Let's start with the very first section. We're going to talk about expenses. You can see QuickBooks is giving you some tips. It wants you to click the micro gear and decide what elements that you want to view. Maybe you want to see the due date. You want to add that particular column. Maybe you also want to see the status, right? Overdue might be helpful. Bill payments applied. You get to choose, and just simply click the micro gear icon again and make it go away. We can always filter if we only want to look at expenses. We can filter if we only want to see bill payments. Sometimes if you're trying to search for something, using the filter can be the quickest way to find what it is that you're looking for. So this expense tab is really helpful because it really includes a whole lot of information. Okay. Now, the last 12 months is our default. And as you notice, it cannot be changed. If we click our filter tab, now we can make the change. If we want to see today, yesterday, or perhaps run a custom and go even older than the last 12 months, we have that capability here. Okay. And then put it through to the end of last month and apply, right? Let's look at our all transactions, resort it by date. We can see all kinds of elements that are here. Okay. Back to custom and enter that in, day there, and there, and away we go. Okay. Simple and easy to filter, simple and easy to change the columns. Now, here's a fun feature. If this Carrie G should not have been read, you can change that account right here. So you don't have to go directly into the open up the account to make the change, you can change it on the fly. Now I want to put it back because I don't want to mess up any of my previous work here, but it's a great place for you to be able to see what accounts everything has been coded to. That's going to be really helpful in certain instances. Okay, rather than having to go up and use your reclassify transactions if you just need one or two. Excuse me. Let's move on to the bills tab. So we've got for review. So if there were some bills in here and you needed a workflow of submitting a bill and having someone approve it, you know that you can click the selection, confirm or deselect. So you can validate or confirm bills. You can have a look at all your unpaid bills right through this sub tab. So we've got 2 overdue bills right now to Murphy and Edward. A little bit old, not too old. We maybe want to mark as paid, or maybe we want to view or edit it. Maybe we want to delete it. Maybe it was sent to us in error. Maybe it's a duplicate. Or we can duplicate it. Maybe Edward sends us a bill every single month. And so rather than having to enter it again, we're just going to go ahead and duplicate it so that we want to update the date and go ahead, save and close. Lots of different features and functions that you can use with your QBO product. Always be curious to determine what you can do. We're just going to go ahead and duplicate it. Or we can duplicate it. Maybe Edward sends us a bill every single month. And so rather than having to enter it again, we're just going to go ahead and duplicate it so that we want to update the date and go ahead, save and close. Lots of different features and functions that you can use with your QBO product. Always be curious to determine what you can do and be a curious clicker. If we want to look at what's been paid, here's a nice section. And of course, this is defaulted or filtered to the last 12 months. You can make it more current if you wanted to see a shorter list. You can see that there's only 2, and then you can reset back to the default. So that's your bills section. You can make it more current if you want back to the default. So that's your bills section. You can show those payments if you want to see them. Payment date, payment amount, and paid from the checking account. So those are the details that you can view. You can also dig a little bit further in. You can see that we have created this bill, but we haven't yet printed it. Perhaps we're not going to print it because it was paid electronically, and
Murphy's
printing
Law
it is
is
not
a
going to be
funny
necessary.
name.
You can see how the bills is going to give you the visibility to the information that you need to see. Your supplier list is what you would expect to see. Here's your money bar. If you've got any purchase orders outstanding, they would show up here. You've got your unpaid bills over the last 365 days. 3 of them are overdue. If we click that orange button, it's going to filter and show those 3 overdue bills that maybe we want to take some action on. Maybe we've disputed them. Maybe they've been paid and they've not been recorded.
Okay. There's a lot going on there. Let's go to... Let's just do this. Let's get in there. Account history. Okay, so that takes me there. It's kind of a weird way to see that, but that's okay. And then we want to go to expenses. Is we had sales and expenses. So this is the home page where we can see everything. Bill. I would like to go on suppliers. Who are my suppliers? 2 overdue bills. These are the names of all the suppliers. Looks like these are the overdue bills. Recently paid. January 6th. Filter by check. Check expense. Total paid. Owner's equity draws. Bill payment. That's interesting. So there's bill payment, check, credit card payment, nothing. Recently paid. Why is it different than? Like, what is recently paid? I guess maybe it's like the last 30 days, even though it says like 12 months or something. Filter. Let's do all transactions. Filter. Paid. Let's filter by type. Janitorial expense. So we do have a credit card payment account. What happened? What happened to it? These are all checks. This one's a credit card. Yeah, there's a credit card on the home page. So what's up with that?
lots of different situations that will require your investigation and your solution. We want to look at open bills. I mean, we want to get these paid, and we can have a look to see what we've paid in the last 30 days, and we've paid 4 bills in the last 30 days. Let's go back and view all of our customers, or our suppliers, I should say. We can go ahead and create a new supplier, or we can import a supplier. We can create multiple suppliers, lots of different fields and functions available to you. Microgear helps organize the columns that you want to see. Maybe you never phone anybody anymore, so you don't want to see that column. Maybe the tax slip is important to you. Do they need a T4A or a T5018? If there are any attachments, maybe that's important to you. And then again, you can choose your page size. You can print this, or you can export this list to Excel at any time. Maybe you want to look at it for other reasons, or check it against what you want to import if you want to import new suppliers. There is your suppliers section. Of course, you can go in, create a new bill. Currently, we don't have one from Bill because his open balance is 0. If you sent us one, we could go ahead and create it, or we can click our action column. Maybe we need to create a new expense, write a check, create a purchase order, or make inactive. Okay. What we're really focusing on is navigating around QuickBooks so that you can do the things that you need to do. You know how to write a check, you know how to create a purchase order. This is how you're going to do it within this particular product. Let's head on over now to the mileage tab. If you wanted to go ahead, you could download your client's trip log. You can see here's the information. Go ahead and download it if it's available to you. And that is what's going to show up in here. If your client is tracking the mileage, this information is going to be available to you. You can see it's downloaded in a CSV file, and you can choose the year that's going to be in question. Okay. Well, let's jump now back and talk about some workflows. Here, if we want to set up a bill to pay later, so Bill has sent us a bill, isn't that funny, haha, that we're going to pay him in 30 days. What are we going to do? We're going to enter that bill from scratch because that has arrived via email or perhaps through a third-party app, or he's dropped it off because he was in our office fixing our computer today. Maybe we've got a purchase order on file because we've ordered a bunch of product and we're going to create the bill from the purchase order. Whichever way we're going to do it, we're going to enter that bill and its payment terms, right? Payment terms. Standard, we see a lot of is net 30 days. You're going to see a lot of due on receipt. And that is what you're going to do is set it up, and we're going to enter a bill. Next up, you're going to pay that bill. You can either pay the bill alone, or maybe you're going to pay a number of bills at the same time, and you're going to set the payment method, either a debit, credit card, check, email transfer, however you're going to go ahead and pay that bill. If you're creating a purchase on account, you're going to click your new button. You're going to select bill, and you're going to create a new bill. You're going to walk through the form and fill in all the information. You could also go into your expenses center. And navigate from there. Click your supplier tab, find the supplier that you are wanting to create a bill for, such as Novotel. Click your action button and create a bill. That's a very long way to get to it, but sometimes that is the preferred method. Maybe you're already in your suppliers section, and that's why you're going to create the bill from there. Okay, whichever way is going to work best for you, that is going to be the recommended workflow. So let's go ahead and create a bill right now, or enter a bill into QBO. Okay, so we're going to go back to the easiest method, which is clicking new and entering in a new bill. What do we want to do? Well, we want to pick a supplier. Let's pick on Bill. We're going to enter the bill date. He sent us this bill. It's for last month. He's given us a number, 457. And we can either record it using just a GL code, a category, or if he's worked on a particular product or service, we may want to do it that way. In this case, we're going to just code him to our subcontractors. And what's going to be important here is to determine whether he sent us a bill that we're going to record it exclusive of tax, inclusive of tax, or maybe it's out of scope of tax. In this particular case, because it's a subcontractor, we are going to use either the inclusive or exclusive. If he hasn't subbed out the amounts on the bill, maybe we're just going to put in the total, or 8025, and say that it is inclusive of tax. Then we have to tell the system which tax we're talking about. Bill is in Ontario, so we're going to put in our tax code, inclusive, and you can see that QuickBooks has backed it out and said that the pre-tax amount is $425, the HST is $55.25, which totals the $480.25, right? That's going to be important. If he was just taking a deposit, maybe a retainer on file, maybe he's a lawyer, then in that case, you would probably put this to your prepaid expenses and code this to be out of scope of tax because there is no GST component at that time. It is simply a retainer or deposit on account. Okay, let's put it back to the correct way for this particular transaction, and we want to go ahead and do that. Okay, we can save and close, and now we have entered a bill. of tax because there is no GST component at that time. It is simply a retainer or deposit on account. Okay. Let's put it back to the correct way for this particular transaction, and we want to go ahead and do that. Okay. We can save and close, and now we have entered a bill. Let's head back and talk about the next element, which is paying a bill. So maybe we want to pay one or more supplier bills. We can do so from our expenses center, go to our supplier. We could batch action that. So we could choose the accounts and make payment. Or individually, we could just go to the one particular supplier and click the make payment. Or we can go to our plus new button, and in our supplier column, we can choose pay bills. let's bring that to life with a demo and let's pay some bills. So where did we see that? We went to our suppliers. We can see that Bill needs to be paid and Edward needs to be paid. We have our batch actions. We cannot pay through batch actions. We can only pay individually on make payment here. So that might not be our most efficient way of going about paying a bill. Let's go up to our new and pay bill, which is going to show us all the bills that need to be paid as it relates to the last 365 days. If we change that to all, we might see a different report, but we don't. So there's only 2 bills that need to be paid currently, the one that we just created and one that's not due yet until July 11. But we can go ahead and make the payment date. Let's say we're going to pay them on July 15. Starting check number is there. If we're going to pay from the checking account, we can choose the multiple suppliers to pay, and we can go ahead and save and print them. So we can see QuickBooks is telling us that we have 44,000 in the bank. We're going to issue checks totaling 1,000, so we know we have enough money. That's going to be important, right? We can go ahead and save and print those. And we can see there's a whole bunch of checks that haven't been printed. We're only going to print the 2 that matter to us right now. Enter in our starting check number, preview and print. The check to bill looks good. We know he's going to pick it up, and we know Edward's going to pick it up, so we're not worried about addresses being missed. We can click the print button once we've printed them. We're going to be prompted to confirm that everything printed correctly, or if we need to redo them, or if we don't want to print them at all because, whoops, we didn't have any check stock in the printer. But we're going to assume that all these printed correctly, and we're going to go ahead and say done. Okay, so just like that, we've made a payment. And now we've also got a payment looking here that maybe we want to make a payment for. Now, what we could do do is make the payment directly from way of going about paying a bill. Let's go up to our new and pay bill, which is going to show us all the bills that need to be paid as it relates to the last 365 days. If we change that to all, we might see a different report, but we don't. So there's only 2 bills that need to be paid currently, the one that we just created and one that's not due yet until July 11. But we can go ahead and make the payment date. Let's say we're going to pay them on July 15. Starting check number is there. If we're going to pay from the checking account, we can choose the multiple suppliers to pay, and we can go ahead and save and print them. So we can see QuickBooks is telling us that we have 44,000 in the bank. We're going to issue checks totaling 1,000, so we know we have enough money. That's going to be important. right? We can go ahead and save and print those. And we can see there's a whole bunch of checks that haven't been printed. We're only going to print the two that matter to us right now, enter in our starting check number, preview and print. The check to bill looks good. We know he's going to pick it up. And we know Edward's going to pick it up, so we're not worried about addresses being missed. We can click the print button. Once we've printed them, we're going to be prompted to confirm that everything printed correctly, or if we need to redo them, or if we don't want to print them at all because, whoops, we didn't have any check stock in the printer. But we're going to assume that all these printed correctly, and we're going to go ahead and say done. Okay, so just like that, we've made a payment. And now we've also got a payment looking here that maybe we want to make a payment for. Now, what we could do is make the payment directly from the expense center, and that's going to pop open these two invoices that are owing, and we could pay one or both of them. In this case, let's just pay the one. We're going to pay it from our checking account, our US account in this particular case, and we can go ahead and save and close. If we're paying it electronically, we can put in perhaps our reference number and save and close, and that is now done. So those are the two different ways that you can pay a bill. Let's go back and explore more different ways that we can handle paying bills. So we can also pay at the time of purchase. You go into a store, you whip out your credit card, you pay it all in one step, you're going to get an expense receipt, and that's going to happen all at once. You're not going to pay it later, you're paying it now. If you're buying from Amazon, you're going to pay it at the time. So you've got three options to pay at time of purchase. In QuickBooks, you can either record it directly as an expense, and usually that's when you're using a debit or credit card. Maybe you're going to write a check, which is different than paying a bill by check. So this is when you're going to record purchases because you're going to write or print a paper check all in one step, and it does have some very specific applications. Okay? And the third option, we're not going to talk about in this particular lesson, but you can record directly from the bank feed, and that's covered in a different module. Okay? Let's move on. Let's talk about recording an expense. So in this particular case, we've paid for supplies via our bank account using our debit card. So Taylor & Martin is our supplier for printer cartridges. We paid for this back on January 19 of 2022. We paid with our debit card. We have a reference number or an authorization code. We've coded it to supplies. We've entered in printer cartridges, noted that it's inclusive of tax, put in our amount, our tax code. We could also attach a copy of that receipt if we wanted to, or put in any memo that might be helpful to us. Okay, go ahead and save and close, and we have now recorded an expense to our QBO file. If we want to record a check, now a check is a little bit different. This, in the particular case, we've issued a rent check. So there is no AP associated. We've written a check. Maybe we've written the last month's rent check, so we want to send that in for pay that. Maybe we're going to put that to prepaid. But when we're issuing a check, there is no related bill associated with it. This is a one-step process. Sometimes you're using it for a down payment on, say, a vehicle, an office space, or purchasing a property. You're going to enter in the bank account. Now, do know that when you're issuing a check, bank account is your only payment method that is available to you. When you're an expense, the payment account can be bank account, Visa, petty cash, cash on hand, check, cash register drawer, MasterCard, Visa, line of credit, any number of payment methods. But when it's check, only the bank account that is a checking account is applicable. You'll be asked for the check number, fill in the information. Maybe you want to print it, maybe you just need to save it. So let's jump in. We're going to do this quickly because we have just seen the screenshots, and let's head on over. So if we're going to record an expense, I'm going to head into my expense section. And rather than typing, I'm just going to have a peek at a previous expense. And let's go with Staples. You can see that it's been paid from my checking account. So I should have recorded this as my direct debit, put in my reference number, office expenses, and my amount inclusive of tax. There it is. And I've matched it to my bank feed, right? Has been connected to my bank feed. All is good. Okay. And just close that out. If I was going to issue a check or write a check, I can open that up. And you can see that now I can only choose bank account. So if the account type is bank, I have that option. So I could issue this payment from petty cash. I could issue it from my GST account. Most likely I'm going to issue it from my checking account. I know Carrie is my landlord. I might want to send her, category prepaid. Maybe I need to up my last month's rent deposit, and I need to send her an additional $500 for that particular deposit. In this case, it's going to be out of scope because there's no tax associated with that. And I can go ahead and print that check. Save and close, save and new. Okay. And that is how you can issue an expense and the differentiation between an expense or issuing a check. Head back here. So there's a compare and contrast. When we're issuing a check, only account types that have bank are available to us, but when we are issuing an expense, we have a multitude of account types available to us. Supplier credit notes operate the same as entering a bill, entering the same as a supplier credit or a customer credit. Go in, choose your supplier credit, fill in the information. Be sure to put in a unique identifier, the date, what the tax implication is. Go ahead and save and new. Okay. One more demonstration here. So if we wanted to issue a credit card or a credit memo, let's say that we've paid Bill, but we paid him too much. Maybe this $480.25. He's like, you know what, I'm sorry. I better issue you a credit for $100 because I overbilled you. We can go ahead and put that CN in here. Category subcontractor. Description overcharge. merged, and good. Okay, and just close that up. I'm just going to have a peek at a previous expense, and let's go with Staples. You can see that it's been paid from my checking account, so I should have recorded this as my direct debit, put in my reference number, office expenses, and my amount inclusive of tax. There it is, and I've matched it to my bank feed, right? Has been connected to my bank feed. All is good. Okay, and just close that out. If I was going to issue a check or write a check, I can open that up, and you can see that now I can only choose bank account. So if the account type is bank, I have that option. So I could issue this payment from petty cash. I could issue it from my GST account. Most likely I'm going to issue it from my checking account. I know Carrie is my landlord. I might want to send her, oops, category prepaid. Maybe I need to up my last month's rent deposit, and I need to send her an additional $500 for that particular deposit. In this case, it's going to be out of scope because there's no tax associated with that. And I can go ahead and print that check. Save and close, save and new. Okay, and that is how you can issue an expense and the differentiation between an expense or issuing a check. Head back here. So there's the compare and contrast. When we're issuing a check, only account types that have bank are available to us, but when we are issuing an expense, we have a multitude of account types available to us. Supplier credit notes operate the same as entering a bill, entering the same as a supplier credit or a customer credit. Go in, choose your supplier credit, fill in the information. Be sure to put in a unique identifier, the date, what the tax implication is. Go ahead and save and new. Okay. One more demonstration here. So if we want to issue a credit card or a credit memo, let's say that we've paid Bill, but we paid him too much. Maybe this 480.25. He's like, you know what? I'm sorry. I better issue you a credit for $100 because I overbilled you, we can go ahead and put that CN in here. Category subcontractor, description overcharged, and we're going to take $100 inclusive or exclusive of tax this time. Put in our HST code. So now we're going to have a credit on account of $113. I'm going to save and close that. And now we can see that we've got a credit balance of 113. What happens in the case of a credit card credit? So let's click that button, that menu option. And so what may have happened is we purchased something on Staples and we purchased it on using our credit card, but it's been refunded. So here we're going to put in our office supplies, office expenses, and we returned paper for $50 plus HST. So we're expecting a credit of $56.50. Do you know that you can go with category details or items depending on what you're using with a particular file? And once you've set that up, you can go ahead and save and close. Okay, what that has done is recorded that transaction to our Staples file. There's our credit card credit. And now that is going to be available to match to our bank feed, right? Issuing a credit memo is not going to match to our bank feed. Issuing a credit card credit will match to our bank feed. And that takes us through our expenses center. Lots of features, lots of different menus to become familiar with, but the more you use it, the more comfortable and familiar you will become with it. The receipt capture function in your QuickBooks Online product is a really handy way to keep track and keep both your receipts and your transactions all together so that anytime you're looking for something, it's going to be at your fingertips. Now, what I want to share with you is that receipt capture is the receipt capture function in your QuickBooks Online product is a really handy way to keep track and keep both your receipts and your transactions all together so that anytime you're looking for something, it's going to be at your fingertips. Now, what I want to share with you is that receipt capture is available in your browser and it's also available on your mobile app. So not all transactions, though, are possible in your mobile app, but do know that included with your mobile app, you can create an invoice, a sales receipt, an expense, and customer payment. So you can take pictures and upload a receipt directly there, okay? In your browser, it's going to be a much more robust experience, and we are going to go and find that, okay? Sometimes, actually, let's get to the next page. Let's talk about expenses in the mobile app right off the hop. So when we open up our mobile app, we know that we are listed with our shortcuts menu. We can see that we've got expenses, receipts, SNAP, invoices, transactions, customers, estimates, manage, and sales receipts. So it is limited in what we can do. You'll notice that although you can record expenses, you cannot record payments. When you want to receipt capture, though, that is going to be really useful. If you head on up to Home Depot, or you go to Shell Gas, or you go to Tim Hortons for coffee, you can take a picture of that particular receipt and upload it into the software so that you can process it and have that receipt attached to it within your QBO product. Take a picture, make sure it's clear, use the photo. QuickBooks is going to read some of the information, not all of it, and populate it so that you can intervene and fill out the rest of the elements. So taxes inclusive, select your tax code, enter in your tax amount. QuickBooks doesn't recognize how you've paid, so you do need to tell it whether it's a check, a credit card, or perhaps an other type. Choose your payment account. QuickBooks cannot read that receipt to know that this was Visa or MasterCard. You will need to enter in that information. The payment date should be extracted, but do double check it. Sometimes day, month, year, or year, month, date can be confusing. Go ahead and save that receipt, and then you can create an expense from the receipt. When you're using your browser to utilize the receipt capture function, there's a number of different ways that you can get that in, and including you can upload from your computer, so you can drag and drop files that you have maybe saved to your desktop, or you can forward from email. Let's talk about forwarding from email because that's new and unique to your QBO product. You're going to click your forward from email button. It's going to pop up a window that says, hey, let's create your forwarding email. Enter in a unique email address. You can see that it's going to be suffixed with @qbodocs.com. You may have to make a few efforts to find a unique email address because they do get used up all the time. And what's important to remember is that the email doesn't support automatic forwarding. So you cannot auto forward to set up a rule in your mail software or your mail app. You need to send them directly. Any rules will not arrive in your QBO receipt capture. So be sure to forward receipts and bills to the email from the email address that you use to sign into QuickBooks. So if you've got a business domain address that you use when you log into QuickBooks, you will be unable to forward receipts to QuickBooks using your Gmail address, for example. Once you found an email address that works and you like it, go ahead and say that it looks good, and that will take you on to the next step. You've now set it up, and you can update it. So maybe you want to change the name. You can actually change this email address if you need to. And at the same time, you can add additional users to be able to use this functionality. You can add a new user. Do know that the user must be an active user. So a reports only user or a time tracking user is not going to be sufficient. And you can go ahead and close that there. Okay, let's move on. If you want to upload a receipt directly to the computer, do know that there are a number of file formats available to you. You can upload a PDF, you can upload JPEG, a GIF, a GIF, or a PNG file. And you can drag and drop multiples all at one time, or you can upload them one at a time. Okay. Next up, once you have a receipt updated, it's going to show up in your For Review tab, and there's a picture of the receipt if you want to have a look at it. We don't know who it was created by because this one was uploaded in a slightly different manner. We can see that it's been split. The payment account's not been found. The amount of tax has been read by QBO, but it's up to you to review the file here. Okay. When you click the review, you'll see which information that QBO has extracted, and you'll be able to assign the payee, the bank or the credit account, the payment account, payment date, the account category, add a description and amount, and any type of memo that you might want to include. You're also able to split the expense between more than one account, and you can certainly add some additional fields if that's going to be necessary. Okay, reviewing, matching, and adding receipts. Once you have entered in all that information, you can have a look. You'll notice that QuickBooks hasn't found the match in the bank feed. So we may want to, it's actually not found the expense in the general ledger. So we may want to create that expense and post it to the general ledger, and then it will be available to match in your bank feed. Okay. Now, in here, we've really talked about all of this, but let's just talk about where this shows up. If we go to our sales center, we're not going to find the receipt capture element. If we go to our transaction center, that is where we are going to find our receipt capture section. It is called receipts. If we want to upload, we can drag and drop here or manage our forwarding. We see that we do have a receipt. We can go ahead and create an expense from this particular report. It's a Costco receipt. And now it's been added. We can view that particular transaction and make any changes just in case instead of Costco, maybe we want to see what it is that we bought at Costco. Looks like some copy paper. And we could update that here to say copy paper. That's going to be a little bit more helpful. You see that it is attached and we can save and close, and we know that that receipt is now available to be matched up to our bank feed. Okay. In the email forwarding, just a reminder, we've got Sky Training QBO Docs, that when you're forwarding, you can forward in one email multiple documents. So if you want to attach 3 different PDFs or a PDF and a JPEG, QuickBooks will manage those 2 different documents and set them up as 2 separate receipts here. If you send one PDF with 5 pages and 5 different expenses in that PDF, QuickBooks will not be able to identify the 5 separate documents. It will only set it up as one. So it's important to remember to send a PDF per receipt, one document, and you can forward those along. And also, you could always export the receipts at any time if you wanted to send them out somewhere else. So there's your receipt capture, super helpful, and I hope you enjoy using it. Non posting transactions are sometimes necessary when we want to get information into our QuickBooks Online product, but it's not yet a financial transaction. One example would be an estimate in your sales workflow that you want to create an estimate, send it off to your client, have them approve it before you generate an invoice from it. So that estimate can live in your QBO, waiting to be approved and waiting to be converted into a posting transaction. Okay, so non-posting, no impact on your GL. Posting transactions, obviously posted to your GL. It is possible to add more than one non-posting transaction to an invoice. So you may have 2 or 3 or 4 estimates that you want to bill all together on one invoice. You can absolutely add multiple estimates to that invoice. That estimate from your sales workflow can also be used to generate a purchase order to help support the payable side of that particular transaction and get the cost of goods orders flowing. Okay, those purchase orders, again, can be converted into an expense transaction. Either you could enter a bill or an expense transaction or expense right away in the one step. Again, you can use multiple purchase orders into a bill. You can short receive a purchase order, lots of different elements. Now, do you know that delayed charges, delayed credits, and non-posting transactions is going to be covered in more detail in the advanced certification training in module 2. But just to give you kind of the sneak peek that you do have some non-posting transactions that you can utilize with your QBO function. And the sales order, the estimate, is really what also known as a sales order, and that can be really valuable when you're operating a business that needs to have that extra step before you get to the invoicing process.